The victory for Julian Assange in the High Court in London was a great victory for Julian Assange. It was a very great defeat for the political independence and sovereignty of Britain and for freedom of the press. Although the victory quickly turned to ashes in our mouths within 48 hours, Julian Assange had been denied bail, returned to Belmarsh prison, and now struggles through the bitter winter and the coronavirus pandemic in the jail, which has struck down scores of people in his wing of the prison alone. The victory was on one narrow but important count. Judge Barrister found that Julian Assange's health, particularly his mental health, particularly a predisposition to attempting to commit suicide were he to be extradited to the United States, meant that she had to reject the US application for extradition. We're grateful for small mercies. Anything that keeps Julian out of the clutches of the US injustice system is to be welcomed. But on every other count of the United States indictment against Julian Assange, she found in favour of the Yankees. She decided, despite what it says on the face of the extradition treaty, that political offences can, in the end, see someone extradited to face them, even though the Home Secretary at the time, David Blunkett, personally assured me that the words on the front of the extradition treaty meant what they said on the tin, that people accused of political offences could not be extradited to the United States. She decided that the work of WikiLeaks and Julian Assange had not been in the public interest. Although it's difficult to see how telling the public what the public's money was being used for, especially when it was being used for entirely illegal, inhuman acts, which cost the lives of millions of people, if that's not in the public interest, it's difficult to find a definition for the public interest. She decided that Julian was more or less guilty of everything except being in such poor health that he might not survive the US justice system journey and might therefore end up committing suicide. As I say, if Julian had been freed on the strength of Judge Barrister's decision, I probably wouldn't be talking to you about it now. I'd have moved on to some of the other big stories that face the world today. But the truth is, the American government's decision to appeal this finding by the most anti-Assange judge you could possibly imagine is pregnant with serious consequences for others in the future. Essentially, what her judgment means is that if you do exactly the things that Julian Assange did, if you are an investigative journalist of the first rank, if you publish material embarrassing to the United States government, you will be extradited to face life imprisonment or maybe even worse, as long as you're fit and healthy to make the journey. If that's not chilling to journalists and publishers in Britain and across the world, it jolly well should be. Julian Assange, in fact, is a hero, a world historic figure, whose name will be remembered long after Judge Barrister's name is long forgotten. Julian Assange should get the Nobel Prize. He should not get punishment. He should get praise. And it's about time the British government asserted its independence from the United States in the way that it has asserted its independence from the European Union. After all, this was supposed to be the year of taking back control. Free Julian Assange. Let him return to the bosom of his family and stand up for journalism, for publishing, and for freedom of speech and expression.